Germany's defense minister is demanding an apology from President Donald Trump after remarks that have reignited tensions inside NATO. Speaking on German public television, Boris Pistorius accused the U.S. president of disrespecting America's allies who fought and died alongside U.S. forces in Afghanistan. Trump told Fox Business last week that the United States had never needed NATO and claimed Allied troops stayed a little off the front lines during the war. That assertion has sparked outrage across Europe. Pistorius says it's simply false and deeply offensive. Germany sent thousands of troops to Afghanistan after the September 11th attacks under NATO's first-ever activation of its Collective Defense Clause. 59 German soldiers were killed. Pistorius says he plans to raise the issue directly with U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and urged President Trump to apologize, calling it a matter of decency and respect. Criticism is mounting beyond Berlin. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer described Trump's remarks as frankly appalling. The United Kingdom lost 457 service members in Afghanistan. France has also pushed back. In Paris, a senior defense official laid a wreath for French soldiers killed in overseas operations, saying their memory must not be insulted. 90 French troops died in Afghanistan.
You know, what's been said these past few days, my thoughts are with them, with their families, their loved ones, with those who were their brothers in arms in so many operations. And I think I don't know what more I can do to tell them that we're thinking of them, that we stand by them, that we don't accept anyone insulting their memory.
Trump later praised British soldiers as brave, but offered no apology and made no mention of sacrifices by other NATO allies. The comments come as the Trump administration continues to criticize Europe for underspending on defense and relying too heavily on the United States. Pistorius acknowledges Europe must take greater responsibility for its own security, but insists rewriting the history of Afghanistan is unacceptable. For NATO's allies, the issue is no longer just about spending or strategy. It's about honoring those who stood, fought, and fell together.
Let me start by paying tribute to the 457 of our armed services who lost their lives in Afghanistan. I will never forget their courage, their bravery, and the sacrifice that they made for their country. There are many also who were injured, some with life-changing injuries. And so I consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling. And I'm not surprised they've caused such hurt to the loved ones of those who were killed or injured, and in fact, across the country. As if I had misspoken in that way or said those words, I would certainly apologise. We have a very close relationship with the US, and that is important for our security, for our defence and our intelligence, and it's very important we maintain that relationship. But it is because of that relationship that we fought alongside the Americans for our values in Afghanistan. And it was in that context that people lost their lives or suffered terrible injuries, fighting for freedom, fighting with our allies for what we believe in.
Donald Trump has sparked outrage across Britain and among NATO veterans after claiming Allied troops stayed away from the front line in Afghanistan. In an interview with Fox News, the U.S. president said NATO forces stayed a little back, a little off the front lines, as he questioned whether the alliance would ever support the United States in return.
I think, but I've always said, will they be there if we ever needed them? And that's really the ultimate test, and I'm not sure of that. I know that we would have been there, or we would be there, but will they be there? And let's hope that that never happens. We've never needed them. We have never really asked anything of them. You know, they'll say they sent some troops to Afghanistan or this or that, and they did. They stayed a little back, a little off the front lines, but we've been very good to Europe and to many other countries. And, now under my administration, that began because we had a very successful first term. That began then, but it has to be a two-way street.
Fierce condemnation from British lawmakers, former soldiers, and veterans who say the claim distorts history and dishonors the dead. Over the 20-year war in Afghanistan, 3,486 NATO troops were killed, among them 457 British service personnel. Canada lost 165 people, including civilians. Denmark, now in a diplomatic standoff with Washington over Greenland, suffered 44 combat deaths, the highest per capita toll outside the United States. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer's spokesperson said Trump was wrong to diminish the role of NATO forces, stressing that British troops fought and died alongside American soldiers following the September 11th attacks. Lawmakers from across the political spectrum echoed that condemnation. Labour MP and former RAF officer Calvin Bailey, who served in Afghanistan, said Trump's comments bear no resemblance to the reality experienced by those on the ground. Conservative MP Ben Obese-Jekti, a former Army captain, said it was sad to see the sacrifices of Britain and its NATO partners dismissed so cheaply. The chair of the Commons Defence Committee called the remarks appalling, while the Foreign Affairs Committee said they were more than a mistake, an insult to the families of the fallen. Veterans were even more direct. Former soldier and author Stephen Stewart described Trump's comments as offensive and inaccurate, calling it deeply ironic that a president who avoided military service during the Vietnam War would question the courage of those who served. Trump was diagnosed with bone spurs during the Vietnam era, a medical claim that has long been disputed, and received multiple draft deferments. Liberal Democrat leader Ed Davey said Trump avoided military service 5 times, adding, "How dare he question their sacrifice?" The Foreign Affairs Committee chair, Emily Thornberry, described the comments as so much more than a mistake and an insult to the families of those who had died. The backlash also highlights a deeper truth about the war in Afghanistan. The United States remains the only NATO country to have ever invoked Article 5, the alliance's collective defense clause, after the attacks of September 11, 2001. NATO answered that call, and thousands of Allied soldiers never came home. As criticism mounts, the controversy has reopened painful memories and raised fresh questions about how history, sacrifice, and alliance are being framed by the world's most powerful leaders. For many veterans and families, the message is simple. They were not standing back. They were on the front line, and they paid the price.